Hello, I'm Lover and welcome back to another video. In today's video, we're going to be doing a VOD review. So thank you for the person who submitted their VODs. If you'd like your VODs reviewed, please get in contact with me via Instagram, and soon you'll be able to submit through my Discord too once I'm done with my server. In case you don't know me, I'm a console Mercy main with 900 hours on her and I'm currently in Diamond. I post long form gameplay videos as well as guides, tip videos and other fun things to do with Mercy. Before we get into this video, I wanted to remind you all that I'm not perfect and that my perspective can be very different from a Grandmaster Mercy player as I'm still very much learning. You're welcome to add any type of tips, but please do be kind. And as a little FYI before we begin, please only submit your VODs if you are below Diamond, as it would be unfair for me to review someone else's gameplay if they're higher ranked than me. The VODs we'll be reviewing today is a console Mercy main that's currently in Silver. Now onto the VODs.
Objective unlocks in 30 seconds.
I'm here to support.
Work together.
You can't hide.
Let's get some healing beats going.
Feeling more powerful?
You want that louder?
So I want to bring your attention to the situation here. I think that you probably could have positioned a little bit more safer here, considering the Mercy and Soldier on your right. I know he wasn't necessarily aiming for you, but he could have very quickly, switched his target very quickly, as I don't think from here he can actually see you. Oh, I mean, he can a little bit. But I do think if he came out a little bit more, then he would see you and he probably would go for you. So for situations like these, I would suggest positioning slightly more here so that you can keep boosting your Orisa and your Hanzo, or positioning a little bit behind the barricade here to also still keep cover but still have a good distance from your allies so that you can get away quickly.
Returning TS1 to the barricade.
You call? Being stronger?
This is the next part I wanted to talk about. I do feel pretty 50-50 with this res. While this was a good res to save your Junkrat the walk back, there's two things I would like to discuss. If I play this a little bit longer, you notice the Orisa comes slightly more into position, and whilst you have completed the res, if she was a bit quicker to come into position, she could have javelined you out of this res. So I would say for next time, try and res a little bit more behind the cover. But the second thing I wanted to discuss was the Junkrat could have likely gotten back using his mines. Your spawn isn't necessarily too far at this point, and I do think this team fight is pretty much wrapped up in terms of, the positioning of your enemies. I would say this is pretty much the end here. So you could have probably saved your res for someone else and let your Junkrat come back.
My duty is being done. Not to worry, I'll patch you up.
Witness the flame of my soul.
Be uplifted.
Enemy sighted.
Oh, let's break it. Turn!
Your sword up.
And we have taken the lead.
Okay, the next part I want to talk about is watching your positioning when you're here. The issue I have with you positioning here, like with your back turned especially, is the fact that you have your back turned to the enemy spawn. And this is a great bit of high ground here for DPS, especially for the soldier that's up here. He can kill you from up there very quickly, so I would think about repositioning yourself into this doorway here, because you can have a distance from your allies when you are beaming them, or even staying where you're positioned right now but having yourself actually face that way, I think is much better, because then you're a little bit more aware of what's going on behind you.
Progress. never die.
So I think that was a pretty good use of Valkyrie due to the incoming teamfight that you guys did win. The only thing I would like you to consider in this little segment was just your positioning in Valkyrie to make sure you don't necessarily always use high ground in Valkyrie, because I know it's very tempting when you're up in the air and you're flying around, you know, and you have that free flight, but that doesn't necessarily mean you have to be up in the air, as that does make you a quite big target and your hitbox does increase quite a lot in Valkyrie.
Over here.
Excellent. Let me see what I can do. Heightening your capabilities.
The dragon awakens. Willpower burns within me. Enemy here. Over there.
This will wir sterben nicht.
Meet your fate.
Enhancing your strength.
Ladies and gentlemen. Enemy sighted. The enemy has claimed the robot.
Okay, so I would like to bring your attention again to this part here, where the Genji was ulting Orisa, who was already low, and you were still trying to save her, which obviously I understand, but I do think in this situation, you need to understand when to disengage from a fight, and I think when Orisa was already low, and getting ulted by the Genji, I think that was the point at which you should have started running, and you should have GA'd probably more out towards there or towards these stairs over there, because it's likely that in the time you had before the Orisa died, you probably could have gone away. However, what I do really like about this one segment, even though you do die down here, is that you do show some knowledge of, you know, map layout and knowing where health packs are. And I do think knowing the map layout is a very important piece of information, as you know where to go for health packs and you know where flankers could be going.
My ultimate is almost ready.
Oh, let's break it. Damn!
Here to help. Heroes never die.
Dragon consume you.
There's much for you to do. Here to assist. Yes. Damage intensified. Over here. I'm here for you. Right by you.
Again, I want to take notice of your positioning here again. I think positioning slightly more up here would make you less vulnerable to the soldier that keeps flanking you guys from that one side. And I do like how you do ping him eventually. But yeah, that's all I wanted to mention in this part, is just positioning slightly more over here and taking a little bit more distance from your Hanzo.
That's not good. Don't let them push. Heightening your capabilities.
Hey, stop the robot. Come on, now position.
Over here.
Okay, I know it's incredibly tempting to res your teammates as soon as they die, but I do think you could have saved this res for the team fight, as your Junkrat will respawn quickly, and again can get back quite quickly because of his concussion mines, and you can start supporting your team a little bit earlier as well if you don't go for that res. And you're also not wasting cooldown, so try not to go for reses all the time. I know it's tempting, but sometimes you can not go for a res and still win a team fight.
I will not let you fall.
Group up with me.
I'm Dinah Zeiser.
Enemy here.
Just what I hoped for.
Right, I want you to watch very carefully why I don't think this use of flash heal was a good idea here. Now that that situation's over, let's talk about the use of flash heal and why I don't think that was a good idea. When you use your flash heal over here, let me just go back and show you. I think it was just about here. Yeah, so I understand wanting to use your flash heal a bit here because your other support is low, but I do want you to think about the usage because your Lucio is a support, so he can heal himself, and as you can see, literally a second later, I think, yeah, when you actually flash healed him, he went around to take cover and used his little... Do you know what? I have no clue what that ability is, but I know it obviously boosts the healing that he does. So he did that for himself, he took the cover, and then that means that you wasted your flash heal, which potentially you could have used here, where your Genji... not your Genji, their Genji was ulting and was killing your Junkrat. I think if you flash healed him in this situation, he would have survived the swipe here. And, well, actually, he did deflect. But I do think that he would have survived the swipe and you likely would have been able to win this fight. So do be careful with who you're using your flash heal on. And do consider whether, you know, they're a support and they can heal themselves and take cover. And do consider their positioning too. In terms of your death here and helping you, you know, not get trapped in Orisa ults, because I get trapped in Orisa ults all the time too still, I would say a tip here would be to watch how the Orisa is behaving. If the Orisa is pushing into your team, then she likely has ult, and also another good indicator of an Orisa ult is if she javelin spins and then fortifies into your team, it's likely that she's also going to ult, and you might just want to get away very quickly.
We must stop their
I
best.
see an enemy. They're pulling ahead. Heroes never die.
The robot is ours. Onward.
I could use some assistance.
Get it back.
Ladies and gentlemen, the latest creation.
And around the corner of my star.
An eldritch blessing.
Looks like I was just sliced it.
Over here.
It's time.
Boosting your damage.
The enemy is pushing their barricade.
Heightening your capability. We're falling behind. Our work is not done. I'm here to help. Checking in. Being stronger.
Right, as a little thing here that I actually didn't write down the first time around, but watching it the second time around, I noticed that you instantly wanted to obviously go and help your Moira heal your Orisa, but one thing I do want you to look at is that sometimes letting your support get more of the healing out of the tank is better, as they need to charge their ult as well, and if you keep taking their ult charge, they can't ever really get ults off. So if you feel that, okay, hold on, like, you know, I might need to help my tank here, then obviously go for it. But I think in all situations, if, you know, as long as your support was fine here and your tank isn't critical, you know, Moira isn't out of heals, it was fine. And I think you probably could have just stayed here with your DPS instead. I think pushing damage boost with these two would be great.
Is within my reach.
My medical professionalism, Doctor. Here to help. Damage intensified.
Misery made manifest. Let us end this. Reimburse broken. Enemy forward spawn.
Boosting your damage.
Surrender to my will.
Kleiner Seite.
Monsters are alive!
Meet your fate.
Right, this was a good res, but what I do want you to take into consideration is when you're resing, obviously don't walk forward, especially if you're already in cover, because you started resing this, but then you started walking out, and my concern is, one, the Orisa that's using her javelin here, if she was literally just during this wind-up time to turn around and look at you, she could have hit you with that. And obviously, taking into consideration the Mercy here, in some cases the Mercy will come after you and shoot you if she sees you resing, so just keep that in mind. Apart from that, this was a fine res.
Heroes never die.
Hail the Mahal!
I can fix that.
Taking over.
Give it back! I am ready to unleash the dragon.
Heightening your capabilities.
Let the dragon come.
What I really like about this moment here is that you disengaged from the fight and you went to regroup with your team.
The dragon.
Big stanger lap.
I'm at the height of my performance.
Ladies and gentlemen, my latest creation. I am escorting the robot.
Helden sterben nicht.
Enemy sight. Loving the
Feeling
robot.
more powerful?
Let the dragon consume you.
Freya, enter soon.
30 seconds.
Heroes never die.
Right, I want to talk about this segment. I think you could have avoided rezzing the Moira here if you'd just ulted a little bit faster in that situation. So don't be afraid to, ult when you have ult, because Valkyrie is charged pretty quickly. And as I said before, not necessarily in this video, but I don't think there's necessarily a waste for Valkyrie, as your team can always benefit from the extra heals or the extra damage boost. And what I mean about ulting a little bit quicker, if I rewind a little bit here, is here where your Moira died. If you ulted, you had ult at this point for a few seconds, I think, actually. Yeah. So obviously your ult is charged here and your Moira is still pretty full health. I think ulting here during this team fight would have saved your Moira from the death, as you have increased healing. And I think it would have obviously won your team the fight here.
Heroes never die. Heightening your capabilities. This ends now. We're almost there. Stay with the robot.
Right, I want to talk about this moment here whilst it's actually happening. So let me actually slow it down. So here we're in overtime, and I notice you looking towards your DPS here to possibly res them. Now, because that's DPS and it's overtime, I wouldn't recommend resing that.
Here's ahead.
Enemy forward spawn.
Thank my medical professionalism, Doctor.
During this moment in overtime, I think a good idea would have been to, as your Orisa was heading up to the point, for you to super jump onto this bridge here and use these little windows as cover whilst you support your Orisa, as here your beam will disconnect for the moment, and that might have not necessarily been a good thing, as it could, well, cost you your Orisa, and she had to back up as she was low, so you guys got off the point. But if you were up here, then it was likely you could have probably flash healed her as long as you had it. Yes, you did. You could have flash healed from up here and kept her contesting for a bit longer. And I do think high ground on Mercy is just so strong because you can see your whole team and you can support them. Overall, I think that game was pretty good. I know you said to me you felt that that was a pretty bad game for you, but I do think there was a lot of good moments that you had and a lot of moments that you can improve on. And of course, I'll summarise everything that I feel like you can improve on at the end of the video. Now onto our second game. Right, I want to draw your attention to the situation back in on this building. You go to help your Hanzo here, but whilst you're looking over to the other side, you don't realise that you step into a room with Junkrat and Orisa. But I would recommend obviously keeping an eye on where you're stepping, especially with a Junkrat around. And this is also why I would recommend keeping a distance from your boost and heal targets at all times, just in case you are hit by something and you need to escape quickly.
Heightening your capabilities. You call it?
Stay put.
That's teamwork.
I'll find them.
I do like your res here, as Freya outputs a lot of damage and therefore a lot of pressure on the enemy team. But for this next part, I would like you to pay attention to the surrounding noise.
Not on my watch.
Okay, so let's talk about this little segment. I wanted you to pay attention to the surrounding noise, as if we skip a few, I think to around here, you have a Junkrat in this building here, and he is extremely close to you, and enemy footsteps are very loud, and your team's footsteps are very muffled. So even with that in consideration, and looking at your team, obviously you don't have a Junkrat, I would instantly have red flags if you heard a Junkrat somewhere close to you. So that's why I don't really like positioning next to this wall. I do mention that a little bit later in the video, but I don't like this wall for positioning very much, and I would rather position up here, because if you're positioned up here and obviously helping your team, you could see the Junkrat coming around the corner and reposition accordingly. As a tip for this little part to prevent a situation like this, as I mentioned, just repositioning to a different position or even choosing high ground up here, I think would have helped you in this situation.
Zeit für einen neuen Plan.
I am grateful.
Here's my thanks. Amplifying your power.
Dragon awaken. Let the dragon consume you!
During a ongoing push, I don't like positioning next to this wall. Instead, in this situation, I would say position over here, or in this little doorway, and just keep picking it over and over again to keep boosting your Hanzo, as keeping a distance from that doorway in specific and that kind of arch there will keep you safer for the time being, and also give you enough time to decide where to reposition to.
All in a day's work.
When we want the wedding. Heroes never die.
I really liked the segment here where the Illari came in and ulted you and you used Valkyrie and got away very quickly. I think that was very smart, and your use of cover in a doorway where you minimize the kind of attention drawn to you as well as the projectiles that come your way was great. And as a tip for the people watching, as selfish as it sounds, whenever you hear anything that you can be solo ulted by, assume it's for you and plan an escape. I think as Mercy players, we usually get ulted quite a lot, whether it's a Junkrat tire, whether it's a Reinhardt solo shatter. It just happens to us because we're a hated group of, players due to like stereotypes and other things like that. So I know playing support, it's a very big team player kind of role, but do think selfishly when it comes to solo ults. Right, I would like to also talk about the situation here. As much as I know staff kills are very tempting and very satisfying, I didn't like your proximity to Junkrat here. Allowing your team to do the work was fine, as your Orisa had already turned around to help at that point, after she'd finished, with her kill over here. And in terms of the res here, I feel pretty 50-50. Your team fight just finished, so to safe res, but if the enemy Orisa runs in with the BAP and the Echo, as they are over here, you and Zen won't be able to out-heal the damage that she does, and you won't have res for the Orisa. So my best bit of advice here would be, don't feel pressured to res just because, there's a soul to res.
Our work is not done.
This is
Stay put. Position.
Behind you.
My skills are still needed.
my ultimate is almost ready.
My ultimate ability is ready.
Objective lost. Stop the payload.
Charge the payload.
Going up.
Enemy turret ahead. Watch yourself.
Right, in this situation, I probably, as risky as it sounds, I would have liked you to position a little bit more up with your tank here, as your Zen is in currently a little bit of a troubling position, as he has a huge bit of cover from his side, covering, his ability to heal the Orisa. So I would have liked to see you position maybe a bit more here with your Orisa. And in terms of the Junkrat ult that's coming in right now, I would suggest hiding from it and disconnecting your beam from your ally, as you don't want Junkrat to find them, and you also don't want yourself to be found.
Adaptive circuits engaged.
Let me see what I can do.
Within me.
Supplying damage increase.
I think that this was actually a pretty good res. If, not considering the echo that was lurking around here, you res the support so you guys can get a little bit more healing, And you used a falling res here, so even if the Echo was lurking, she would have expected you to probably res up here.
I'm at the height of my performance.
Yes.
Here to help. Let me fix you up. Posting your
Mal suyo! My soul ignited.
heroes never die.
Hello, it's Editing Lover here, and I wanted to say that I totally get your use of Valkyrie here after watching this whole situation about 7 times. I think it was down to a lot of panic, not knowing whether your team was going to survive the Ilaria or not, and unfortunately they did get hit by it, so they didn't survive. So what I wanted to come here and say is that I don't think this whole team fight loss is your fault at all, and it was kind of just down to panic, which everyone does, so yeah.
Hunting them down.
Finishing them off.
Not so fast.
Angel at your shoulder.
As for a tip with dealing with Echo, she can be a little bit difficult to deal with as her damage output can be huge if she uses her abilities right. The biggest tip I can give you is try and stay aware of her positioning at all times, and if she starts to target you, then try to plan ahead and think about your health pack locations that you can go to quickly.
We cannot allow them to proceed.
Making a full recovery. Continuing damage increase. I'll keep this fire burning. Amplifying your power.
So this links to what I said in the earlier game. Think about the implications of res and whether it's needed. The res on Hanzo here was probably wasted, as your spawn is right behind you and he can make it back very quickly because of his lunge, and probably right in time for the fight. So I think there was kind of no need for this res here.
There's much for you to do.
Witness the flame of my soul.
Just what I'd hoped for. Boosting your damage.
60 seconds.
I think your use of flash heal back here was a little bit iffy, as your diva was pretty close to max HP. And I would also say if your diva did die in that situation, she would still get back pretty quickly because of her boosters.
Behind you. The payload has reached our objective.
Oh, and as a little tip, I noticed you obviously retreating here to hide and get back to your team. When you're hiding from the enemy team, you want to stop jumping as quickly as you can and start crouching, especially in the back area here, because I did notice when watching this that the Echo was looking for you, and so was the BAP, as they can hear your heals, and your heals are quite loud. So do keep that in mind next time you're hiding from the enemy.
Oh, they're moving the payload. Self-medicating.
We obviously had a little bit of a near-death experience back there. That's why I suggested knowing when to disengage from a fight and keeping a good distance from your allies, as I think you probably, as bad as it sounds, could have left your baby diva to die back over in that corner a few seconds ago just to get away and regroup with your team, especially considering the proximity they had to the next checkpoint.
Supplying damage increase.
Let the dragon consume you.
I'm here to support. Healing stream connected.
Adaptive circuits engaged. Diva. Nerf this.
Right, I want to talk about this too. I noticed you using your blaster here on the echo copy, and I do want to just say that the echo copy is one thing, but then when she gets out, that's another health state that she has, and she'll likely shred you. A lot of echo players use their ult as an extra health state instead of just running in and trying to get a kill. And another thing here is another issue with like sound cues. The BAP altered literally shortly after you stopped shooting and started running. Hello again, it's Editing Lover. I wanted to reiterate what I tried to say here because listening back on it, it was awful. What I'm trying to say here is instead of flying towards the sides, you flew directionally up. And that obviously cost you your life. So instead of flying up and down, I would always suggest flying from your left to your right or right to your left in a situation like this, because unless the BAP has godly reaction skills, then he probably won't react quick enough to actually kill you.
Personality duplication complete.
I must return to my post.
Join me.
Feeling more powerful?
Thank you.
You can't hide.
My duty is being done. Enemy turret ahead. Watch yourself. Heroes never die. Hunting them down.
Hello everyone, it's Editing Lover for the third time, hopefully last time. I wanted to say that I really liked your use of Valkyrie here for stalling. Yes, I'm re-recording this part because when I was listening to it, I actually just messed up a bunch of words, stalled over my words, and it was just really stupid. So I'm just going to re-record this myself now. Yeah, I really liked your use of Valkyrie here. I think one of the best uses for Valkyrie is stalling. So, just wanted to say good job. We're going to ignore what I'm doing on the screen. I think I was trying to argue a point that was clearly not worth arguing. So yeah. Good job with the Valkyrie. Hello, it's Editing Lover for the fourth time. This will be the last time, I hope. So, what I wanted to say was that I actually needed to ask my boyfriend for some help for this next part, as I don't play Juno. So, I had to ask the pro player next to me instead. And I thought, whilst I'm here, I would do a little bit of plugging, because I want to do some plugging. So, if you guys want to see some content from my boyfriend, then I'll put his platforms up on the screen right now, as he will start streaming much sooner than I will. And I might be in the streams. And yes, that is going to be my selling point, the fact that I might be in the streams. So, if you guys want to hear from me, I guess, then tune into his streams. Apart from that, I am taking up another editing job for him. So if you enjoy my videos, then it's very likely you guys will probably enjoy his too. In terms of what he's going to post, I'm not sure yet. It will be some Overwatch, but I think it will also be other games. But yeah, if you want to, then I will be very appreciative, and so will he, if you guys can go check him out.
1. Attackers incoming. Defend objective
Okay, so the first thing that we pointed out was your use of torpedoes here. You had 3 people locked on. And as much as I endorse doing damage on Juno because she does have a good output, I do think that this wasn't really needed. And it could have been used in this situation here, where your Ram is at half and your Lucio is at critical. And another thing I wanted to take into consideration is your positioning. I think positioning a little bit more towards where the Widow is here would give you a bit of a better sightline of everything, as you want to do the damage, so you have a good sightline of wanting to do the damage, but then also standing over here gives you a good sightline of healing, and of course you could always position up here with the movement that Juno has, and still have enough to deal the damage, but also to heal your team. We talked about how we liked your use of torpedoes here, as you had 3 people in and you were using them obviously for healing.
Magical treatment incoming! Go here!
I liked your use of speed ring here, as there's an active push, so you're allowing your teammates to get the speed and therefore enabling them more to chase down the enemies and to lock in kills. Hey guys, it's me again for the 5th time. I thought last time was the last time, but I didn't like the way I said things here, so I'm just going to say them again. I appreciate how optimistic you are about the situation, but I do think that this team fight was very much already over, and that you should have disengaged quicker. And what I mean by that is, when you were getting chased by the Orisa, where you are right now is totally fine, and I think you probably could have waited a few seconds and then ran back down to regroup with your team. But instead you went to heal the Ram, which, you know, fair enough. I can't really blame you for that. But I do think it would have been smarter to regroup at this moment in time. I hope I don't sound too harsh in this video. I've been worrying about that the whole video. But anyways, that's what I wanted to say.
I will succeed! With the speed of light!
My ultimate's ready. Hunting them down!
My ultimate is charging.
Magical velocity!
60 seconds remaining.
Orbital ray is ready! Let me hold! With the speed of light!
30 seconds remaining.
If we don't hurry, this might get ugly for us. Destroy that turret. I feel this in my bones.
Stay calm, Juno. You can do this. Does this help?
10
Check.
seconds.
Enemy turret ahead.
already mentioned your positioning at the start to stand more where the Widow was to give you a better sightline of your team and the enemy team so that you can do the damage and the support that you wanted to. Your positioning during team fights, I think you should keep a little bit behind your team and don't get too greedy for the picks, as your main role as a support is to ensure your team's survival. I know it's impressive to have a lot of kills on the support, but I think making sure that ultimately your main goal is healing is a good start. I would also recommend lowering your sensitivity on Juno a little bit. I know that preaching high sensitivity on Mercy is a thing I do a lot, but that's because you don't need aim for her, and you can attach your beam and then go ahead and do whatever, and the main point of high sensitivity on Mercy is to allow you to react to things more accordingly. But I do think that because you need aim for your main source of healing on Juno, it's a little bit different, and I think a gradual increase in sensitivity will help you get used to a higher sense. A slower sense may be good also to help you feel a bit more on task and not so lost. Obviously, I don't know if you typically use higher sense on other aim-reliant heroes, but again, I do think slowing it down a little bit is fine because, you don't need to start at a high sense to be good. Okay, so I was going to do a third game in here, but after looking at the sheer length of me talking and the games, I decided to just keep it at the 2 bad games that the person stated. And if you guys want a second part reviewing the last game, then obviously let me know and I'm more than happy to make that for you guys. Now I'm going to give a few final thoughts and I'm going to get into some things that I feel that you could improve on. While I feel that your knowledge of damage boost is good, I do think there are times in which you can focus more on damage boost rather than healing. Overwatch has changed a significant amount in these past 20 seasons, and while you could get away with healing the damage they're taking when your ally is in a fight, due to things like the DPS passive, sometimes that's not the case anymore. It's a little hard to trust your teammates sometimes, but with enough time, I think you can get used to this based on just understanding the abilities and damage outputs of the hero who is up against your damage booster target. The perks you picked. Again, I don't know whether this is a case of not liking Divine Momentum, as I know a lot of people don't, but based on the 2 games we watched you play here, I would say overhealth on res wasn't needed for you, as many of your reses were behind cover. Picking perks is very much about adjusting them to what your team needs. For example, Flash Heal is a great perk when used on a team with Lucio or Zen that will need more healing, or if your team is just taking more damage than you felt they would be. The damage boost perk is amazing when your team is grouped up a lot, so that way you can get value from picking it. Your awareness. There are a lot of cases in these games where I think you're far too focused on what is going on in front of you instead of taking advantage of the fact that you don't have to look at your teammates to support them. Always make sure to check your surroundings and flanking spots because you never know who may flank you. And remember that enemy footsteps are much louder than your team's. You mentioned that you felt that you have an issue with positioning, and while there are a few weird moments, your positioning was fine for the most part, and the only thing I'd recommend for you is using high ground more so that you can see your teammates, and therefore making it easier to support them. But also keep in mind your Valkyrie position. You don't have to be up high all the time, and remember that your beam is a lot longer in Valkyrie. Those were the main big things that were coming up quite a lot for you. As for the smaller things that you can fix quickly, instead of looking back and flying when you want to create space between yourself and an ally, try using a backwards jump, like this. You can simply do it by just GAing to your target, holding your moving stick back, and jumping. This will help you keep an eye on the field in front and prevent you from feeling so lost. Boosting ally ultimates. I think this is a big thing to prevent your team from wasting so many abilities to win a team fight. Boosting a Genji ultimate or even a Soldier ultimate could go a long way for winning yourself a team fight quicker and easier. Your use of Flash Heal is fine, but be careful not to disconnect your beam when doing it, as your teammate won't get the burst of healing. Again, this is something I still get wrong, so it's just a case of getting used to it. Be careful not to waste your reses. If a teammate has movement or spawn is close, they'll likely not need the res. Make sure you ask yourself these questions before you go for a res. Number 1, what impact will this have for the team? Will it be worth it? Number 2, do they have something that can help us win the fight? For example, an ultimate or an ability? Number 3, how quickly can they get back before the next fight? I do think fixing these things will help you win more games and rank up as Mercy. The process of ranking up is always quite tedious, so of course don't feel discouraged, and again thank you for this submission as this was a ton of fun to do. Before I end the video, if you are interested in a VOD review then please get in contact with me via Instagram, link is in the description, and I'm happy to review anyone under Diamond, and thank you for watching!